Hey everybody, this is Rydo, and we're back to the Shadowverse solo story mode. We've got probably 2 more episodes to go. We need to do episode 10 with the Ilganu. Uh, I don't know how you'd even pronounce that. N-A-U. Nua? Ni-A-U? Like, yeah, too many vowels for me, certainly. This Portalcraft lady who seems to, in the one time we've seen her before, uh, just lost her memory, and maybe she's making Norechas, maybe she isn't. But overall, all of these stories have just been like showing off these main characters and frankly showing off a bunch of secondary characters and underlings that didn't need to be in the story, setting up for a big war. But there's a weird problem with this war compared to the Guild Wars in the sense that it's not really anybody fighting anybody else. Like, they are skipping over that part completely. I seriously doubt we will run into Bunny and Baron fighting Miser or fighting Selena. Like, Miser and Selena are childhood friends who are basically in love with each other. So the idea that they'd become enemies seems unlikely. So it just kind of is trying to speed up the story and have everybody on the same page to begin with to fight against the Titans. And so it does feel like it is just going to be a longer battle against 3 different Titans. The only thing that possibly could happen is if they start trying to take down Vincent, that maybe Miser would try and defend Vincent, or even Selena might try and defend Vincent, but I don't even buy into that, really. This will take longer, so there's no reason not to just hop into this, because the Japanese almost certainly still is the only language spoken. Here we can see a bit of a spoiler that somebody here stands somebody, and somebody is reborn, and I wouldn't be surprised if what happens is there is a case here. This might be in English, actually. There's kind of no reason why it wouldn't have been translated. Yeah, there's no reason why this wouldn't be in English, since it's the exact same thing for each of the 4 stories.
Resultant miracles bring forth reconciliation. And the reconcilers,
like, I wouldn't be surprised if maybe they fairly quickly try to merge the 3 Titans into an actual keeper god. And so there are just some kind of minimal characters. But see, the weird thing here is, if it turned out that, like, the Great Mother here, that's not even what they called her in the story, but Great Mother is a better name than what they were using. If somehow she exists in this different world, which seems like it's a different world, if it isn't, then it is just like a desert planet that happened like at some weird point in the past, I guess, is the best thing you could think, because you'd almost have to assume that if Rival is the same planet as the robot planet and the nature planet, then Rival had to have been thousands of years before the robot planet. And I don't know if it really makes a lot of sense that you'd want to fight this character again, because it's not really a bad guy.
A new story begins to forge roots.
Like, this phrase "forge roots" might be a hint to the robot planet and the nature planet.
And roots are uncertain to take.
And see, I don't know if it really makes sense to stretch out that story even longer. Like, we need to just draw a line in the sand, figuratively speaking, and move on to different worlds. Yeah. Revel is basically just a city, so it could be on any planet.
Of gunfire and magic, made upon happenstance, where the divinity brought life unto the stone of beginnings.
The thing about this story in particular is the fact that they literally are telling you the beginning of this world, where none of the other worlds have that creation mythos,
The inheritors of this great work,
nor did it really need it.
stand
It would
above civilization.
certainly have explained some of the worlds a little bit better,
Titan of force,
but it would have just been
not.
pointless backstory,
Titan of prosperity,
and we don't
by
have
Schillinger.
time for backstory when
Titan
they
of order,
leave so much other content on the table.
the balance between the triptych is tenuous, teetering.
Hmm.
Their veil is a powder keg, awaiting the inevitable spark of destruction.
It almost
The
feels
way
like
holdeth fire. There are but few aspirants who could ignite the world.
it almost feels like the story is inevitably doomed to end with everybody
Perchance it be
failing.
those who live to lift their names.
Hmm.
Grand ambitions cross
Would it
paths with
feel
discord,
acceptable
cantering through the wasteland.
if Bunny and Baron and Miser and Selena and Elengano all survive only because they jump to a different world with Orisa, and Rival gets destroyed completely and devastated, like no survivors at all, the entire city gets eliminated? Does that feel like a good ending? Depending on how it's written, you might be able to pull that off, and it certainly would repeat a theme that we haven't seen since the very beginning of the story, in which there definitely was no success in the first world. That entire world was either put to sleep by Serenity or eliminated and destroyed by Serenity. From what I vaguely recall, maybe they did save some people, but not a lot. I don't think we know what happened to the original world, actually. I think all the heroes got sucked into the portal and transported to another world against their will, so they just don't know what happened at all.
And yet, a guest alights from a dimension unknown. Savior of the world, or herald of its combustion. The omens will write themselves in due course.
We don't know who this narrator is, but it's probably the fortune teller if I was to guess. And they're saying that Orisa might be the herald of its combustion.
O willful aspirants.
It would be funny if Orisa got murdered and that was the triggering factor of the war that's inevitable. Although it really wouldn't matter, because we really have not seen a story where Orisa has interacted with a lot of people and become their best friends or anything. I don't think the people of Revale would really care if some stranger died. So now we can only cross our fingers and hope maybe this was maybe in English, but it isn't. Alright, so more reading, I suppose. My beautiful baby sister, I love you. No. So, stop. I didn't want this. You heard wrong. This is a mistake. So, is it some kind of genie type wish where somebody has accidentally killed their sister? I don't know how in Japanese you would say ... More than likely, since Japanese is such an incredibly nuanced and subtle language, it is really, really far from what English is, in which if you don't say it out loud and pretty aggressively, you didn't say it at all. More than likely, there is no ... It's just somebody said stop in such a way that you assume that they were directly mention saying it to somebody.
私はなんて思って。
There we heard a audio glitch, so maybe that's how they're gonna do it. Please, I never wished for this. And that also probably points out the structural differences in English versus Japanese, in the sense that she probably said please, then the character's name, and it got blurred. I never wished for this. Does that mean all of these chapters are going to be flashbacks? Or a lot of them are going to be flashbacks, and thus that's why things are getting censored here? The problem with this, as I see it, is there's just nothing that could be really that surprising anyways. Like, wait, unless it is just Belphomet coming back, like, that's not a big surprise. Nerva or Nexus coming back, not a big surprise. Like, either that or there's a new character we haven't even heard of, so why hide the name then? Dot dot dot. Where is this? What am I? So it's going to be fairly hard to follow a story of a character with amnesia, because we're going to just have to have more interactions and more fighting, almost certainly, because of that. This is interesting. For the first time now, we are seeing the rich part of Revel, which apparently you need to get on a train to reach, which at a certain point it seems ridiculous to call a city if you cannot reach the other part of town without a train. That means big distances or some giant walls, and I don't assume that there are giant walls splitting the Revel into like an east and west Germany type cities. And this may be the first time we've seen this guy in this outfit, and it probably would have been somewhat helpful if they could have figured out a way to use this guy in the previous stories. But I imagine this guy was just not drawn by the time the previous stories had come out, and same is true for the background. Well, I'm just sick and tired of their deviltry. You're talking about Bunny and Baron? They may make like folk heroes, but they ain't nothing more than a couple of street rats. Now, obviously, the rich people are not going to like Bunny and Baron. Almost certainly not. So this will be a class warfare type story. There is some weirdness in my mind, I would say, to the idea of people, or a world where people speak Japanese and then have none of the culture of the Japanese. Like, at a certain point, the emperor literally told everybody to dress more Western and stop wearing the Japanese fashion, and basically outlawed it. So that's somewhat understandable, but you're not going to get away from Japanese so much that there would be blonde-haired, blue-eyed Japanese people, unless, of course, you're talking maybe a fictional universe where the Japanese somehow just became the dominant culture, or the dominant language. I suppose that weirdness is true for a lot of people. Like, there almost certainly are people in Africa who see English-speaking movies that don't understand why somebody from a different country would be speaking English. So it is a minor issue, certainly. Just that's what they are, upset we live the high life. But sometimes I pity the poor creatures. Why, just imagine if we were the outcast, undeserving of Mr. Eisendrag's seal, it's enough to make me shudder. Um, so I'm gonna get back to calling this guy Icy, and these guys have a seal on them of some matter. Maybe that just means that they were the winners Icy picked. When you look in the background here, though, you certainly see excess, and inherently, that is the beginning of any divide by someone who is rich versus someone who is poor. It is not ever brought to mind of a rich person that, hey, maybe people out there exist that don't have the money to have 3 layers of clothing, or have a casino, or go to a casino and gamble, or have fancy hats or fancy decorations. Very rarely do you see rich people, even moderately rich middle class people, who live a life of anything that is anything close to a impoverished, poverty-stricken person. So the excess is the issue, and excess is an issue regardless of how much money you have. Almost always, if you have a, say, $50,000 a year job and you're living, spending $60,000 a year, you're still living a life of excess, in regardless if that's not giving you as much as somebody who's making $1 million a year and spending $2 million a year. And people should just always strive to be somewhat conservative. You shouldn't be miserable, but you should consider out there the fact that there are people out there that are miserable, and do your best to try and help them if you can. But excess is kind of the thing that makes people forget about the plight of other people. But certainly that will get into a rant, and we don't have time for rants, so pardon. Who do we have here? I bet she's hired help on the count of the rags she's wearing. Now, see, that's kind of ridiculous, because this is a very high fashion anime outfit. The only thing I could say is maybe you have some torn rags, tears on her cape, but I wouldn't be surprised if that is intentional too. So it's kind of ridiculous to say that she's dressed poorly. Hired help? Is that what I am? You trying to be cute or something? We don't have time for this. Why don't you go somewhere else? Where do I go? Misery me. Ain't she just the eeriest little thing? Hey you, would you please help a lady over here? That seems to be the problem. So it's like private police, apparently, the Icy's underlings. This woman's been hanging around for a while, pestering us. Thinks she's a bit balmy too. Mind taking care of her? Roger that. You two may leave. Hold on. Where do you think you're going? Did you not say that I may too leave? I too may leave? You got any identification? So, like, going to the rich part of town probably requires ID, which doesn't make a lot of sense in a frontier town. And certainly this doesn't really look like a frontier town anymore on the rich side of town. It looks like a completely different era of architecture and design. Identification. Tell me your name, ma'am. It will not come to me. Would you happen to have my name? This is getting nowhere. I need backup. Trespasser from the slums. Repeat. Trespassers from the slums. Who is she talking to? Like, Is she screaming that out loud, or does she have some kind of magical communication device? Because in the world we're existing in, we haven't seen anything like radios or phones or anything, and she's not holding anything. Normally you would have somebody that has a whistle that would blow a whistle, and that certainly would have been something where if you had thought that far ahead, you would have then drawn at least this character as always having a whistle around her neck. If you just gone back to where you came from, we wouldn't have had to make things ugly. So yeah, that's typical. Not de-escalating this situation. I don't know where I come from. That's so. Then why don't I just knock you back to where you belong? See, she's just apparently immediately shooting them. Again, none of the characters have their guns drawn. They should have been drawn with their guns drawn. Ugh. Oh, hush up, you'll live. Hey, can someone help me get a... What? This seems like a weird universe where shooting people is nowhere as dangerous as it is in normal life. Like, even what you think may be a glancing wound can easily kill people or ruin their bodies for the rest of their lives. Incredibly dangerous, and it would have been incredibly dangerous in frontier times also, with just the lack of proper medication and antibacterial penicillin, things like that. What force impelled you to attack? What was it? My actions? How is she standing? I do not have the answer. That is why. Fire. This is why I ask you to tell me. I'm not reading this right. She's demon spawn. Get the tail from between your legs. It ain't nothing more than some full magic. Does this bloodshed warm you? To me, it feels so cold. So then that would have been your first battle. Fire, fire, fire. This is another case where there's really no reason to have backup. It's not even like in the card game you ever play against more than one person, so it would have made so much better sense to never have introduced backup. Just have her fight her, and then that's your story. I'm so sorry. The only reason they do this is because they want to up the body count because they're frankly bad writers, or they don't know how to write one-on-one communication ever, so they need to have somebody to throw in a third line of dialogue. It's just bad writing, frankly. Same is the case here. Like, there really is no reason to have two affluent citizens at all. Oh, heavens. What is she? She don't look like a witch, but she sure fights like one. What hole did you crawl out of? The answer. All answers escape me. Stop playing dumb. I wouldn't be surprised if Icy resurrected this lady on accident through his rituals, and she is a high-level witch. I wouldn't be surprised if it turns out that she is like Icy's secret love who died a long time ago. I am not playing. Please let us stop. Much as hazy, but I can feel the bloodshed. The bloodshed makes me so cold. Backup, I need backup. Surround the target and shoot her down. Alright, you fiend. What's sending you back to hell? And then she runs around, fiend. Is that what I am? Hey, look at me. Everything's gonna be fine. I'm so scared. I also wouldn't be surprised. I guess the biggest twist here would be if this is Bunny's sister. That would tie them back to Bunny and Baron, and then there would be a connection between this character and Bunny and Baron, and then Miser and Selena obviously have a connection, and maybe all the characters have a connection that they don't recall from childhood. Take aim, hold her steady. Aye. Fire. And now we have a wretch infecting a common citizen. Interesting. Protecting her. We're hightailing it. Who are you? A wretch has appeared. Be on alert. Come on, hurry. So it seems like wretches are not just mindless monsters after all. Where'd they go? Did y'all see that? She ran off with a wretch. What is going on here? Don't look at me for no answers. I can tell you one thing though. It was an ill wind that blew that creature in. Did we chase him? I don't feel good just letting them wander loose, but yeah, I know. Bunny and Baron take priority. In any case, don't let down your guard. Here, back to your posts. Yes, ma'am. Let's keep on running, fiend. Fire and brimstone is nothing compared to what's gonna happen when I lay eyes on you next. Alright, we should be safe here. Thank you. That was helpful. Happy to help, but, well, you shouldn't be wasting your time thanks on a creature like me. Wasting your thanks on a creature like me? ... Those men and women called me a fiend and a demon spawn. Are they to be believed? They are, aren't they? When I tore through their flesh, there was no resistance. That would not be possible unless I were. Well, I can see there's no use beating around the bush. Yeah, you're right. You and me were the meanest, saddest demons you could ever imagine. Alright. So that does the first two chapters, and I'm going to pause the recording for just a second, and then I'll be right back. Okay, we're back. Sorry. That was a longer break for me than I thought it was going to be, but let's keep moving. Thank goodness nothing's really happened, I suppose. So it's not a big issue. Let's see. I am a demon, question mark? Yeah. Ain't an easy thing to accept, but there you have it. So you know who I am? Strictly speaking, I don't got a clue who you are. But as to what you are, well, the other inhabitants of the town, they've got a name for us, call us wretches. So, what this opens up, if like the Guild Wars story, is the idea that the wretches could very much be a fourth faction. So instead of there being 5 guilds, with one of the guilds would literally just being one overpowered robot character that didn't really matter much in the long run, we now have a 4th secret group of wretches that are intelligent. Wretches. You know, I can't even recall that much about myself. I know I had 2 precious babies. Such sweet little things. So this wretch is the mother of the 2 children that Selena takes care of in the church. So all the story is interconnecting. And it does make this argument that very possibly people who are getting shot with these magical bullets, oops, sorry for hitting my microphone, are actually getting their souls trapped in some kind of magical purgatory instead of either just disappearing or moving on to some kind of heaven or hell. But there was also someone I needed to apologize to. That's it. That's all I remember. It could be also that she is just a ghost in general, as the way this world works, and it seems like she's needs to apologize to Miser for jumping in front of the bullet. I don't sense anything demon-like about you. It's funny she even knows what demons are, but okay. That's because you're a wretch too. We look human to each other. Okay, so the wretches don't look this way normally. Okay. And so we now know how the wretch that kept saying miser, miser at the end of Miser's story, we pretty much know now that that is actually her, and she just looks different. But to the living folk, they say one glimpse of us is enough to make blood curdle in our speech. It's like invisible creatures whispering in the night. Look, it is what it is. Wallow in self-pity all you want, but pity, no, that's not what's stirred within me. This almost makes the argument that Bunny and Baron might be wretches too, and that they're using magic to blur their appearance so that you can't see that they're wretches. Which, at a certain point, then, that's a weird story where a significant number of the main characters are wretches. I merely wish to know how I ended up here. I've heard speculation, but well, I'm just a second-hand account. Be better if you got the information closer to the source. Tell you what, on the other side of town, there's a folk who've been wretches for far longer than me. Likely know more too. Go talk to them. I see. Thank you. Now what's funny is we're in the back alley in the background, and she's saying on the far side of town. Does that mean we just barely crossed the line into the poor part of Revale when we escaped, and now there's even further away from the rich part of town? I'm assuming basically you would have the edges of the poor part of town, close to the border of the poor and rich part of town, and very possibly a edge of town where the Titans may mostly reside. I see, thank you. Like I said, don't waste your thanks on me. I'm a monster. Right now, I might be here chewing the cud peacefully as a cow, but sometimes a great fog comes over my mind, and I want nothing more than to sink my claws into flesh. See, that's a weird addition, but it, I guess, needs to be said. Maybe. Of course, I've kept the bloodthirst at bay up till now, but it ain't been easy. And I know a couple folks who've let themselves go. But you have not, correct. You've shown me only kindness. There is no force in the world that can change that. You sure say some funny things, and there's something about you. It's telling me you ain't a normal wretch. Well, you best be off now. Be wary of those folks from before. We're a ravaging beast to them, and they shoot us as quick as lightning, then cry self-defense. I'll keep that in mind. Farewell, and I hope you get a chance to apologize. Well, that makes two of us. So then, I am a demon. I know my sister's murderer. It was blank killed her. I mean, honestly, once again, it either this is Nerva or Vincent, because it doesn't really make sense that much if it's Icy or not. Blank was a knife in her back. See, and if it wasn't a person that's being blanked out, but something like love, it was love, love killed her, love was the knife in her back, that doesn't really move the story forward. As far as it being a history, a secret. My past, it's returning. I had a sister. She was everything to me. And apparently, she's calling her Oni-san, which would imply that she's the younger sister. Maybe I misunderstood that. This is weird. We have a completely different, new, unique character being drawn here with, once again, far too much anime high fashion, far too many decorations around the belt, although belt is kind of such a major focus that the waistcoat and the gloves aren't standing out that much, and the pants are downright boring by Shadowverse style. A simplistic necklace and glasses. So apparently this guy might play a bigger role. We are fairly late in the story to introduce yet another character, but whatever. Alright, that's enough. Put your hands up and no one gets hurt. Damn, this ain't no time for a stay at the Crowbar Hotel. And the jargon is getting crazy. Crazier and crazier. Last warning. You can turn yourself in, or... Why do the inhabitants of the town raise their arms so quickly in violence? Who are you? It makes me so cold. When I perpetuate it, when I am made a victim of it, when I see it. You a preacher or something? Well, you're sermonizing to the wrong crowd. That sweet-faced mutt. Miss, you gotta help me, please. I ain't in the wrong. Everything I do to survive. To put a roof over my head, food on the table, and clothes on my back. Is it a crime to live? No one's falling for them crocodile tears. Now get your lying two-timing. Why do you seek to harm others? Seek to, ma'am. I uphold the law. And if you insist on aiding criminals, I'll throw you behind bars too. I would rather you not. Then how about I shoot you, huh? Would you like that? No, bullets sting. Stay back. And see, he starts shooting people far too quick to shoot somebody. I said they sting. Did he not just shoot her? What kind of witchcraft? It's funny that they claim witchcraft exists in a world where there are obviously people that can do magic. It seems like that's a bad translation choice, frankly, because there's a big difference in a lot of people's minds between witchcraft and just generic, unspecified magic. So either I would want to have this universe say everybody who's doing anything magical, like Miser and Selena, that they are all doing witchcraft and they're all witches, which there have been some stories around that that I've seen, not a lot. Or you just leave the witchcraft concept completely out of it and you just go, what kind of magic? And almost certainly in Japanese, the word they say when they say magic and the word they say when they say witchcraft is the same word, and it's just being poorly translated, which we definitely are seeing that as far as my ability to understand Japanese, which is fairly limited. I really probably know less than 100 vocabulary words, but enough to get the general concept of some words. But even at that, I can recognize that there's definitely things here that are not being translated right. Particularly the Western jargon. Like, if you were going to do that in Japanese, then you would have to basically write that out in a anglicized English way, in such that you would be doing, for lack of a better term, Yankee speak, where you would speak Japanese sounds and words to try to approximate something close uh, to what the English words are. So, for instance, like the word witchcraft, to use that as an example, would probably be in Japanese pronounced witchu crafto or something like that, um, because there is no like sharp way in Japanese to make those sounds to make witchcraft. Um, Almost all Japanese pronunciations are pairings of usually a consonant and a vowel in that order. So very rarely does a word end in a consonant sound, so you wouldn't get a sharp T at the end of that, or a sharp CH sound without a vowel at the end of that. I hope you do not suffer. God. So she just kills him, I guess? I'm sorry. Well, guess he's out of the picture now, huh? So who do I have the pleasure of owing my freedom to? I do not know the answer. Tell me. Do you know me? What a strange woman. I ain't clapped eyes on someone like her all my born days. But oh boy, is she a force to be reckoned with. Did you just say? Oh, sure, I sure do. Wouldn't claim to know all about you, but I know some. Is that true? So he's just gonna lie to her. Cross my heart and hope to die. Anyway, I ain't good at telling untruths. Gets me redder than a barrel of apples. They call you Illegano. So he just makes up this name. Ain't no doubt about it. That's your name. Which, there's huge danger in this. Like, the odds that somebody would not recognize their own name is very, very low, even with amnesia. It would feel very strange to be told a fake name, I would think. Yep. And you likely don't remember me, but I'm Istar. I thought this was Ishtar when I first saw it. Pleasure meeting you. And so he's probably giving himself a fake name with her fake name. So, what's a nice like gal like you doing in a louse-infested den like this? You got business here? I was on my way to visit someone. You don't say. Well, this place is packed with trigger-happy outlaws. It ain't safe for polite society. But I guess worrying about someone like you yourself bordering on disrespect ain't it? No, I appreciate your concern. You said you knew of me? Could you tell me more about myself? I've lost my past. I remember our memories of an older sister. She was killed and I was crying and the tears were hot. It was like a black heavy energy was eating away at me. Ah, you're looking for vengeance. Vengeance, yes, that fits. That word fills a void. Alright, I'll help you get even. Hey, don't have the heart to just leave you alone, especially not after seeing that sad look in your baby blues. Boy, is this a lot of jargon, a lot of flavor writing here. I did not mean to. You'll thank me later. I might look like a gutter rat, but I've got friends in high places. Now you've got somewhere you need to be, right? Let's get a move on. We can talk while we walk. Yes, over this way. Ladies first, I insist. I don't know what kind of cave she crawled out of, but I can recognize a gem when I see one, and this one's got luster. Did you hear something? Seems like she's can read his mind, or he keeps whispering under his breath instead of thinking it internally. Other than the carrion flying, buzzing, and the bald vulture screeching, nope. Hey, just another beautiful day in Rivale. Now, lead on, my fair lady. The quest must continue. Yes, please, follow me. This is funny, because she has her hand out like she was going to hold his hand, and he has his hand out like they're going to hold the hand. But they didn't bother to put the two characters in such a pattern that it even looked like their hands would overlap. I'm a little surprised, too, that he wouldn't just run away. Guess I finally hit pay dirt. So he's going to just stick around with her and try and manipulate her, which might turn into a cause for conflict. But I wouldn't be surprised if she just actually accidentally kills him. So, Ilgani, let me get this straight. You've plumb forgot your past, right? Yes, I lost even my name. So I guess you're an amnesiac. Amnesiac? Yeah, someone with amnesia. You know, you ding your head hard and disremember everything. I don't know if disremember is a word. Even the stuff about yourself. I see, yes, there's a good chance that I am an amnesiac. To think the only piece of your life you held on to is the murder of your sister. That's really sad. Boy, would it be nice if this was already translated to English, so I don't have to read this out. It is. But we'll clear out this storm, okay? Once you get your vengeance, why, the sky will go back to being blue, the air will go back to being fresh, and you'll go back to breathing easy again. You're very kind. You give me too much credit. I'm just an honorable villain. No better or worse than any other than your average human, I reckon. It's funny, he describes himself as an honorable villain. Now, I believe you said our destination was hereabouts. Yes, I did, however. Yep, I don't even see a shadow of a person. So, here we have a scoundrel wretch. And a female scoundrel wretch, which we've certainly seen these character models before. It would have been smarter, frankly, if they were going to use these character models over and over again. It would have made more sense for them to show up as actual characters at about halfway point of the chronological timeline of this story, and then they get killed by either Bunny and Baron or Miser or Selena, or even the bad guys. They get killed by somebody, it doesn't matter who, and then they become wretches. Then you would know directly that this scoundrel is the exact same scoundrel we've been seeing the whole game, and there's only been one scoundrel that looks like this. But that's totally not the case. We've been seeing there's like 4 or 5 scoundrels all dressed the same, all looking the same, and it just doesn't ever make any logical sense. Aren't those? It seems we have found them. Elgano, what did you think you're doing? We best cut dirt. Those are wretches. Don't just stand there staring. Hurry. There's no cause for concern. They may appear monstrous, but at their core, they are good. You lost me. They will not hurt us. Excuse me, sir. Oh, why, hello, miss. Are you also a wretch? She seems kinda different, don't she? I can't put my finger on it, but there's something about her. I spoke to a woman who told me the same thing, that I am different, but how? Hold on, you can talk to the wretches? Yes. Heavens above. Have I been hitting the sauce too hard, or what? I'm sure you ladies and gents have plenty to chat about, so if you'll excuse me, I'm just gonna wait over there. He fled. We are truly demons. And see, another case of the lip flap just not matching even what's being said in Japanese. I wonder about that. Them and us. We ain't too different. Wretches don't feel hunger no more, though. Mighty big convenience, in my opinion. I am in need of guidance. Please help me find myself. Who am I? What am I? Miss, I wish I knew that for myself. Well, I've been a wretch for a while now. Now, time, not, no time. Is that now or no time to remember who I am? But as for you, I guess that's supposed to be enough, as in enough time. I'm lost as a sailboat without a sailor. Now, don't turn away so quickly. It ain't much, but we do got something to tell you. Miss, you're dead. We all are. Get it? You croaked, you kicked the bucket, you kissed the roach-ravaged dirt of Rivervale, and well, you didn't become no bride of the gods. Instead, you ended up as corrupted flesh, wriggling in the dust, coughing out blood and prayers, wretched, like the rest of us. I'm dead. No, that is not. No. Did you not just see the boy hoof it out of here? Even the most snaggly toothed, wart-ridden but ugly human wouldn't have made him run out like that. Plus, our words don't reach nobody but us. We've lost our language, we've lost our memories, heck, sometimes we've even lost our very selves. If this ain't death or worse, I don't know what it is. Alright, now, let's stop scaring her and backtrack a bit, miss. It didn't look like you had any trouble conversing with that young fellow before, but even taking that into account, you're still likely dead. Can't you remember how it felt? How what felt? Death. She obviously is either a really powerful wretch or she's something in between life and death. Arg. Sound effect of something cutting or stabbing. Steel against my throat, cold. The cut, the blood, warm, hot, burning. Then I died. Your poor soul. Then assuming that you're the same as us, there should be something tying you to this world, some kind of wish or grudge or regret. Am I wrong? You speak true. I do feel bound to something in this world. My sister's murder. I seek vengeance, I think. You think? You lost little ghost. Anyway, it makes sense. You become a wretch when you die with unfinished business. At least that's our understanding. After talking to others of our kind. Yep, I messed up real bad. It happened a long time ago, but the guilt's been daggum persistent as my shadow. This really feels like Luna should play a part in this story, if this is the case. And maybe inherently this shows the problem with Luna being the character that's in charge of all the necromancy and the dead world type crafting and cards, is that if you threw Luna into the story instead of Orisa, she might have played a better role, but then you have this still fairly vulnerable looking, if not actually vulnerable character, and it probably would not have been a good story for Luna in general. I ain't much different. See, I got a kid on the other side, not being able to care for him well. You can imagine how I feel. I wonder if this might be the father, maybe even the mother of Miser. Or maybe this is Selena's mother and Miser's father, and they are wretches because they regret abandoning their kids. We might be dead, but we sure ain't resting in peace. Maybe that's why they call us wretches. Could also be certainly that these are characters that are the parents or related to Bunny and Baron instead of Miser and Selena, or they may just be unimportant characters. Ideally, you'd want them to be important characters. You'd want everybody you come across to matter. Like, that's a really nice way to write stories, certainly, is to have every character who seems to be insignificant and unimportant turn out to actually have major significance and importance and show that everybody's connected. But it's really hard to believe that's what they're doing in Shadowverse, because we see so many random carbon copy underlings just show up and get killed. It just doesn't make a lot of sense. And I feel like the Guild Wars story was at least a little bit better about making characters matter, and you had very specific people in specific positions in each guild that when they died or if they died, it would have mattered. Must hurt to recall those memories. I'm sorry. Apologizing to a demon. You're a funny one. I was being sincere. Look, another thing about wretches. Once you meet one, you can always find them again. Works even if you knew them when they were alive. You can feel them, like wind running over your skin. Could even see your kinfolk again, if they had the misfortune of becoming like us. Go on, give it a try. I sense the two of you and the woman before, but that is all. Well, that means one of the three things. Your family's alive, they've passed but peacefully, or they died a second death. Two of those options ain't bad, right? I'd take those odds. What's the second death? Anyway, if you ever decide to swing by these parts again, we'd be happy to keep you company. Take care of yourself till then, here? I will, thank you. Wait, I have just one more question. If wretches are souls bound to this world by regret, what happens when the strings are cut? Who knows? Never met anyone that's moved on. But if the gods are as merciful as the church says, then I think they might swoop down and carry us off to our final home. I see, I apologize for having taken up so much of your time. Excuse me. I'm sorry, I did not think we would speak for so long. Nah, I was just enjoying the scenery and the smell of ripe garbage. So was everything fine? Yes, they are very kind. Discover anything of value? I learned that I am dead. What with those rosy cheeks? Does not feel real to me either, but I have recollected fragments, sensations from when I died. There was a chill spreading all over my heart, and then the burning edge of a blade. We also spoke of ties. We wretches all have something tethering us to this world. And for you, that's your dear departed sister, rest her soul. So what do you plan to do? Take revenge? Yes, I see no other path forward. And I feel a force in me, compelling me, pushing me towards vengeance. So now you remember the fact that your sister's death and sensations from your own. Anything else? Not at this moment, but I can feel the memories. They are close, but unclear, like shadows behind a curtain. Perhaps with time. Yeah, let's hope. Hey, maybe you can talk to some of my associates. One of them might know something. Offer some information that they'll get those memories jogging. Come on, I'll take you to them. Thank you. You're very polite. Not compared to you. I ain't. You're the most mild-mannered lady I've ever had the pleasure to meet. I knew she weren't no average Jane, but the living dead, that's an ill omen if I've ever seen one. But I won't turn down a sweet little puppet like her. So who is his associates, I suppose, is the next big question. If she can talk to wretches, well, who's to say she can't get them to act in my play too? Finally, I see Lady Luck in the audience, and she started to bat her eyes my way. Ton of lines of dialogue there that I feel like could have been eliminated. Moving forward, keep on going, keep momentum. Almost there. This is ain't the best place to sightsee. Sorry about that. Why do you apologize? You're asking why? Look around. Everything's covered in dirt and vomit, and it's darker than the inside of a cow, I suppose. But where the big toads live, it ain't that different. Take the false fronts of them. Take the false fronts off of them fancy houses, and you might as well be in the slums. Sure, you can scrub at your skin and teeth and look real pretty, but the guts, the character underneath, you can't clean that out. Ain't that right, Ilaganu? I have not recollected enough of this world to confirm or deny your statement. Right. On account of your amnesia. Never mind. You're better off not remembering. Memories of Revel would just fester in your mind. Cut them out and leave them. That's what I say. Well. Look what the cat dragged in. So here we have the exact same scoundrel character, not as a wretch, later on in the story. And this is almost certainly another case where if the bartender that looks like this was this character always, this character model, then that would expand greatly what the bartender's story is, that he's secretly a scoundrel and that he's also doing all kinds of things in the shadows. Thought you'd be behind bars by now. Guess you all saw that hawk-eyed deputy take hold of me, huh? Well, I wriggled out of his tin-fingered talons real quick. Who's that you've got with you? Pleased to make your acquaintance, I am. The answer to all of our hopes and prayers. This young lady is going to help us with work. What? You want to borrow assistance from little Miss Tenderfoot here? Hey now. How many times do I have to say it? Don't judge a book by its cover. Not that y'all read, but listen. Didn't you borrow dough from Icy? Yeah, and? Well, if I said we could sweep that under the rug, I'd say you ain't in your right mind. Just you wait. You won't believe your eyes. I'm sorry. You have not yet informed me of the situation. Shoot, I'm sorry. In a nutshell, we're gonna take down the man who's killed your sister. Come on, there's something we need to be. There's somewhere we need to be. I'll explain later. These stars got more lies leaping out of him than fleas off a mutt. Just what's he trying to start? Beats me. All I know is this ain't gonna end well. That damn lady killer. Ilgano, you see those two? In their fancy getup? And here we have Icy's underling. And once again, we just have to assume this is a different female underling versus the one we saw before. Same is true for him. Yes, I was attacked by people in similar uniforms earlier. Similar uniforms. Basically the same uniforms. Well, could this get any easier? Ilgano, at long last the time for your vengeance is at hand. We're traveling to the lair of the devil himself. Hmm. Those sitting ducks right in front of us, they're the devil's minions. And you lost more than a blind mouse. And you look more lost than a blind mouse without her whiskers. Listen, you ever hear about the Titans? Perhaps I recall the word. So you know that they're the big roosters who run the roost, right? Well, one of them is named Icy. He's as dangerous as the pissed off rattlers, spit as much venom as one too. And he's so greedy, he'd rob every nest between here and the end of the world if he could. Well, he's been terrorizing the city for years. And I don't want to point fingers, but I think your sister. He took her life? Yep, and that's precisely why you've got to take his. But we ain't going straight for the Haid. Icy can fight, and he's known for having the meanest pair of fangs. We attack from the other end, pick off the underlings, weaken him. Got it? I do, but come on now, that face of yours alone is enough to make it rain. And now we're getting dialogue directly from the sister. It'll be fine, because you and I will be together forever. It's kind of funny that she immediately knows she's her sister, but alright. A force is holding me back. Logano, look at me. You can't afford to turn back here. I hear you. It would be funny if it turned out that she's not Not's younger sister. But if that was the case, then we didn't need a lot more backstory to Not as the Titan of Force and how she became the Titan of Force. It almost seems like it's a bloodline thing for all the Titans, and that other Titans replace other Titans in the same family. But if that was the case, then Not potentially gets killed, and then Ilgano replaces Not. And we still wouldn't have had a good story at that point, because there wouldn't have been any real connection between the two, unless they add that connection very quickly. Good, now there may be those pesky members shackling you to this cramped, stinky bloody cell of a world, but vengeance, that's the key that will give you freedom. You are right. I must not waver. I wish to speak with you. Who the hell are you? How'd you get in here? I'm sorry, I hurt your friends, but I was at a loss. Even now, I do not know which path to take. Maybe you can tell me. Am I supposed to kill you? She's crazy. Try anything funny and I'll put a bullet between your eyes. I am lost. So just kills him real quickly. She's like a dream. This is all like a dream. You can definitely tell in this story how they don't want Ilgano to really be a bad guy. So they're having this character manipulate her. It's over. I was watching the whole time. Couldn't tear my eyes away. Now do me a favor and sit tight for a beat. Gotta go collect some proof. So he's just gonna rob him. Back, oh my. You may look as delicate as a butterfly in your hair, but But you're deadly as any plague the world's ever seen. Yes. What? Don't tell me you're bothered by this whole assassination business. Don't worry. Things will turn out alright, I promise. How do you know? Have you ever seen yourself? You're sincere, focused, powerful. You have Your love for your sister acting as the wind beneath your wings, and love is the most powerful force in the world. Ilgano, ain't nothing that can hold you down. I don't know where, and see, I think this is probably the case with anybody who's just a habitual liar. Is I don't feel like they're thinking this through. You are playing with a nuclear bomb here. The second she finds out that you've lied, even a little bit, she best case scenario is going to leave. Worst case scenario, she's going to murder you and then leave. Murder you slowly and painfully and then leave. You just cannot use lies for the long run to control a force like this, particularly in a story. Like, it's never worked out that way. You and I will get our vengeance, then finally, I will have what I deserve. Yeah, he's gonna get what he deserves, certainly. Are you also shackled by memories? You could say that. I want to be a titan. I want to be larger than life. Grow so big I can snap these shackles like twigs and run wild, crushing everything in my wake. This is how I'm gonna work. It's gonna work. You kill Icy and get your vengeance. I step into his empty shoes, rise to the top. Win-win situation, way I see it. I do not see it so clearly. Really, well, it's clearer than day to me. Those spectacles aren't just for show, you know. These spectacles aren't for show. Quit worrying, just follow old Istar and I'll show you the way. We've been stepped on long enough. Now it's time to trample over creation and crush every last damn thing under our boots. The only other way this story could go is that Istar gets murdered by Icy quicker than she gets an opportunity to do it, and then she just gets this path for vengeance that really is around killing Icy that is justified somewhat, but because almost certainly Icy did not actually kill her sister. If anything, I kind of feel like it's either Vincent or someone completely we haven't even met. The biggest twist is if somehow it was Orisa that killed somebody and she's been hiding it the whole time, but Orisa really isn't playing any part in the story anyway, so that would be silly. What would be weirder is if it was like Yuan that had been to this world before, or even the vampire Urias had been to this world before, like hundreds of years ago, and then they and this is just his past catching up to him. That would better integrate those characters than they did Orisa. I'm not to blame. If you want to blame someone, blame fate. She's the meanest card dealer there ever was. It's gonna be funny if it turns out it's Istar that actually killed her sister. I came into the world crooked, gripping only the dead man's hand. I never knew tenderness, never had friends. Sometimes, heck, I think I don't even got a heart. So this is flashbacks of Istar. When I was young, my parents left me and my sister went riding off to nowhere. The neighbors saw but went on with their lives, pretending not to notice. They sure didn't care. So what happened to his sister? It was just us kids alone in the world. You think I had a chance at growing into an honest adult? That kind of decent future was left to me? That any kind of decent future was left to me? Rivers are dumped, filled with refuse that no one wants, no one needs. I'd collapse in the streets, and the rich folks in their shiny shoes would step over me like I was a puddle of mud. That's me. Mud Puddle Istar. Explains why I felt comfortable doing all the manner of dirty work. There's nothing I wouldn't sink my hands into, with the exception of murder, of course. But other than that, I couldn't afford to be picky. my sister needed me. When I got a little older, I found that there was one game I was really good at playing. The game of love. So, he is a lady killer, manipulative person. And I've got a face that turns heads and breaks hearts. It was the only thing of value my parents left me, and I used it as bait. You wouldn't believe how many fools I caught, hook, line, and sinker. Once again, just using the exact same character models. So, is this really the same lady that we saw at the beginning of the story? No. Is this the mother of the two kids? No. Once I reeled them in, I would murmur real low, sweetening them up with words. You could certainly have had this character be the same female character throughout all 4 of the stories if you wanted to. It wouldn't have been that complicated. But we know that's not the case. I love you. You're the only one. I would run my fingers over their hands, up their arms, gentle as you please. Then come morning, I'd take everything, leave my catch gutted. So, he said he didn't murder, so I assume this is not that he actually gutted the women after robbing them. Back to then I was the very definition of a success. Heck, after a good haul, I could rent out spurred on for weeks on end. And here we have the same scoundrel people over and over again. Boy, I wish those golden days could have lasted forever. I might have even enjoyed myself once in a while. What's funny is I think he has a different coat. No? I guess it just looks different with the sepia tone film grain over it. But well, you know how it goes. People take what they can get from you. And once they clean out even the dust from your coffers, they leave you. Guess maybe it was about time I got a taste of my own medicine. One day I left my cash with old skinny fingers, a man I thought I could trust, but he took it and he ran. By the time I found him, he was stone cold, he was a stone cold, stone broke corpse. Still, I wasn't down and out yet, no siree. I just needed one big catch to turn things around. I got close several times too, but the Titans kept a tight grit on their dust bowl. So I had to dig into dirtier and dirtier jobs. I built myself a castle of grime, and it just kept getting larger and larger until it all crumbled onto on that cursed night. Damn it, Illegano. Illegano, I bet, is his sister's name. I had a bad day. Clerk caught me pinching food and gave me a beating. He tried to report me to the sheriff. My fuse was running short. So when my sister confronted me, I said some things I regretted. But I didn't mean to kill her. I know, I'm just a poor devil that feeds on falsehoods and rotten worlds. But I ain't lying now. So we're getting his backstory that he killed his sister, which may be Illegano's sister, which maybe means that she isn't really a sister as much as she is maybe a lover. Oh, and there's a confusion there. Or maybe this is just 2 sisters got killed, who knows. Her fragrance still lingers on the breeze. The only other thought is that Illegano is the sister, but if that was the case, then why wouldn't you recognize her? Because I brought her life to an end. Afterwards, life kicked up a storm, and I was just a sad piece of tumbleweed caught in the middle of a whirlwind. Pant, pant. It didn't matter what I did. Everything fell through. Lady Luck didn't even want to look my way at me no more. Damn it. Damn you. Damn this whole world. I was out pilfering when the authorities found me. They put my face on posters and in newspapers, which meant my gig as a chiseler was up. Chiseler is a weird word I don't recognize. And I didn't have the muscle for bounty hunting. Sometimes the other outlaws threw a few scraps my way, jobs no one wanted to take, either because they were too small or too foul. All I could do is it was all I could do to keep from starving to death. Why? Why did things turn out this way? Why? Things sunk so low that I thought I needed to change things or just, become food for the worms. In any case, I was done sitting around waiting, so I went to the Titans. Vincent, I couldn't for obvious reasons, but I went to meet with Not and Icy. What in frozen hell was I expecting? Go on, get out of here. You ain't nothing but a filthy mongrel. Can't get the high and mighty to come down off their thrones, mingle with the dogs. Well, y'all can just take your velvet robes and your silk gloves and shove them down your throats. You think I don't know what I am? I know, all right. I'm a mud puddle, a lying devil, a filthy mongrel, a breathing corpse. If you turn me over, you'll see all the stab wounds in my back. This is one of these cases where the Japanese way of this being said and this character archetype kind of does not directly match anything in English. That is because I think, at least in America, in the United States, people like to think that there aren't people that are just incredibly desperate and have nothing to turn to and no opportunity. Whereas in Japan, it is well known that if you fall out of favor, you are out of favor with society, you're not going to get opportunities. Like, this is probably mostly reflected, like, if you quit a job in Japan, that probably will haunt you for the rest of your life, and you almost you have a good chance of never getting another job. And if you can't get a job, then you are either living as off your family, or you are living as a Yakuza gangster. And if you were ever even a very, very low member of the Yakuza, you probably are never getting out of that lifestyle. But yeah, desperation, that the form of desperation, at least in the United States, people don't want to admit it exists. And we would much rather in the United States have character archetypes where, if this was written by an American, they would have Ishtar be just an evil person from birth, totally evil. He knows what he's doing is wrong. He had opportunities to do good, and he just didn't take them. That definitely, there's a level of victim blaming there that's not shown often in Japanese characters, where, yeah, sometimes just circumstances and society will give some people no options. Like, very often, turning to a life of crime is from desperation. Very, very few people in the real world decide one day that they want to do crimes just for the fun of it. And frankly, the people that tend to do that are the bored rich people, not the impoverished, starving people. Yeah. But there's definitely something in the voice work that you hear with that. Yeah, I know. When I gave old Skinny Fingers the money, his eyes started shifting about, his lips twitched, like he could barely keep from smiling. I know what my friends call me, the lady killer. They think it's funny. I can see how crooked I am, how far from the path I've strayed. But let me ask you something. Was it my fault that I was born poor? Was it my fault that I turned to crime? No. It's your fault. every single one of you that balances this rotten system on your shoulders. Every single one of you that has ever stepped on the poor or watched it happen. It's all your fault. There is an interesting argument there. Like, you have to balance certainly personal responsibility, but then there is at least the concept that people should have or do have a societal responsibility, and arguably in every society I've ever seen, people have not upheld that societal responsibility. It would definitely be a different story if Rivelle was just the poor part of town and there were no rich people at all, or if it was just the three titans that were rich and nobody else was benefiting from any of that. But we clearly see that there are haves and have-nots, and the titans are just the haves of the haves. But when you see like how Selena, even though she's running around killing people, very possibly Selena may show up and kill E-Star for Vincent. She is running that church, and the church is taking care of those two orphans, although it seems like there's a lot more orphans in Rivelle that they probably should be trying to take care of instead of just those two. And this certainly does highlight Vincent being a Titan of Order. What he's doing is not really justice either, or not really fair. He's just allowing Not and Icy to continue a system that makes more people poor and desperate, and then when people get poor and desperate enough that they become criminals, Vincent then kills those people through Selena, and that's not real justice. And arguably, maybe that is a good reason why we don't have things like hanging people for theft, and death penalties for crimes like theft, and arguably even death penalties for murder is not really worth it in the long run, because it's more expensive in the United States, at least, to have somebody get the death penalty than it is for somebody to get life in prison. And it doesn't actually act as any kind of deterring force. Of course, that's a bit of a rant that we don't have time for. It was time for this tragic comedy of Istar to come to an end. I just needed to be caught stealing leftovers, or maybe swindling a cat. Swindling a cat? And they'd throw me in the slammer for life. The end. That's how it should have panned out. But lo and behold, it feels like there might be a B-side to this story where he actually was about to let himself get arrested, and then he finds out that he needs to do something else. I met her. See, his own story seems like it's kind of changed here, because it feels like he was trying to escape when really he should have just surrendered at that point. Now, let's take stock of the situation. It would make a lot of sense to have this flashback sequence if the different episodes and chapters came out at different times. But they totally didn't. They all came out on the same day, as far as I can tell. If they didn't come out on the same day, they came out within a month of each other and were easily not advertised. I was at rock bottom, which meant the only way to go was up. The first and last time fate ever dealt me a winning hand. Just need to play my cards right. Everything will be just fine. I know this game. I'm the lady killer. Illegano. Long as I'm with you, butterfly. Wonder if Illegano is butterfly in a different language. I can soar to the summits, glide at the heights even the titans can't reach. I bet Illegano is like some Italian word for butterfly. never knew tenderness, never had friends, and I think pride ain't nothing but empty air in your belly. There's just one thing I want, a future, a real future, bright and shiny, one that can't be taken away and out of everyone's reach but my own. Yeah, that is kind of the problem with E-Star here, is if his motivations were just slightly different in a corrupt way, and he was trying to kill Icy and not to not only help him but everyone like him, he would be the hero. But because he wants to become a Titan himself and then abuse other people and set himself above everyone else, it's really just selfishness at the end of the day. Might seem like a pipe dream for a dirty dog like me. Folks have treated me like a sick stray all my life. You can certainly see how the references and the analogies get repeated, which I don't like that form of writing. I think you make one analogy that you're a dirty dog, you don't then re-reference the analogy. If you do re-reference an analogy, it comes off more like a joke than a serious sentence. And I haven't treated myself much better, but my dreams rise above that. My dreams are made of quintessence. I don't even know what that is, and that's the pure substance in the world. I don't know what quintessence is as a word. That definitely is a problem, to have such a big word be a major part of that sentence. 6 megabytes. Oh my god, this is gonna be so long. How can we speed this process up in any way? I guess we'll just have to buckle down on it. I've always wanted to bring the system crashing down, but I was weak. Couldn't even put a dent in it. I had damn near given up until I met you. Me? I have ambition and you have power. Neither is worth Jack Squad alone, but together we can move worlds. We're the chosen ones, see? If we are together, we can achieve both my vengeance and your aims. Sure, either way, we're gonna try. What have we got to lose? Thanks for cleaning up around here. The folks back in the slums will want to know what happened. Tell you what, I'm gonna trot back real quick, give them a rundown. You can stay here, stretch out your legs, relax a little. There are people I would like to visit. Could I go see them? Your wretch buddies? Yes. Assuming she can really speak wretch, is it a good idea to let her chew the fat with them? What if one of them rats me out? But then again, I shouldn't rub her the wrong way. Should I stay? Nah, go on. In fact, I've got a cordial message for those friends of yours. Tell them we've got big plans, Elgano. Tell them that every last wretch who joins forces with us gets a chance at shedding their shackles. Alright. Wonderful. I'll catch you later. Question mark? Hey, tell me about your dreams. Oh, I don't got any yet. Well, I do. I'm determined to see our family happy forever. And that includes you, little Miss Mopey. What should I do? Is anyone here? Back already, huh? Smell blood. What have you done? I did it to take vengeance. Will killing be the thing that sets you free? That is what I was led to believe. Miss, you might have lost your life, but you sure as hell still got your brains. Why don't you use them? I'm sorry, Hey now, are we in any position to be passing judgment? And see, this is the point right about now where these two wretches are going to get shot, and uh, whoever shoots them thinks they're saving her when they really aren't. Guess not. You'll find your way. We all do, eventually. That fog is going to clear, and you're going to discover what's tying you down. See, at first, I couldn't recollect nothing myself, but now, when I close my eyes, I see the face of my little one. It's a little blurry, but that's my crybaby, all right. I hope you meet again one day. I do too, but they may not like a monster knocking on their door. Stop getting your hopes up. Just trying to rush through this real fast. Listen, it's true your memories still start returning with time, but there's a catch. You get your past back in exchange for your humanity. Sometimes you come to, and you're in a nest of corpses. It's happened to me more than a couple times. That's when it hits you hardest. We're demons. Then as the days slip by, I too. Well, I wouldn't be too sure. We've never met someone like you, so we really can't say what'll happen. In any case, you better get out of there and seize life by the horns. Get out there and seize life by the horns before the dark takes hold of you. Just don't get done in. Wretches can pass on. Oh, we die, alright? And wretches who die, you don't ever hear about them coming back as some kind of super wretch. Once you croak, that's it. How chilling. Sure, but which is lesser of the two evils? Disappearing or hanging on knowingly as bits and pieces of you slowly vanish on the inside? We ain't keen on dying, but... Gah. I don't remember who it was that actually shot them. I think it was Selena. What? Yeah. Hey, you hurt? Not a scratch on you. Well, thank you and lucky stars. What did I have to be thankful for? Are you Eisendrag? What are you trying to get at? And who do you think you are? I'm called Ilogano. Are you familiar with that name? Not at all, but let me give you a friendly warning. Ilogano, don't pull anything funny. Be a real shame if I had to carve that pretty name of yours onto a tombstone. See, and in this story, it makes Selena feel like she's the bad guy, but there's basically no scenario where if you were playing all the stories as they came out, you wouldn't already know that she's the good guy. So it's highly unlikely anybody's going to have the experience that they would have played Ilgano's story before Selena's story, and this misunderstanding doesn't really lead to anything really. We now, I guess, will see her shoot her with the candy bullets, which are, I guess, slightly different types of bullets than what other people were using, but we know it doesn't work. In fact, we know exactly what happens in this scene. Oh, but why? I said no funny business. Why? I was speaking to my friends about death in the end. And see, we didn't exactly know what she meant when we saw this first time, and now we do. It kind of doesn't really matter. I want vengeance. I feel a dry heat in my mind. Is this fury? Are you the enemy? Why won't you answer me? The hell is going on? Are you evil or am I? I don't know. Do I look like a confessional to you? Am I guilty of sin? I don't know. You could be a wolf in a sheepskin or a lamb in a wolf skin. It's all the same to me. Look, I have orders to kill suspicious woman thought to be a wretch. So Vincent is trying to kill her. Let me be clear. I don't have any clue who you are. And frankly, spooky. I don't give a damn. All I know is that the gods want you dead or alive. Dead or alive. Sinner. Lift thy face, for redemption is at hand. Ignite trigger. Your wicked deeds shall melt away and leave only a sweet blessing. Gods, shadowed are thy names, the world teems with wickedness. We do not know repletion, for we are starved of thy love. Thus, divinity, thy name is ignorance. I shall be a guardian to this forsaken world and scorch away its blackest filth. Are you a guardian angel? Yeah, well, I sure ain't yours. But I will purge those sins, come heaven or high water. And I guess there was supposed to be maybe a fight at that point. Maybe, maybe not. Ignite trigger haven fire. Heat. I'm burning. So this is what is to burn. I remember. That was a direct hit. How is she still standing? You take lives. So did I. It seemed like the only path at the time. She's real tough for a walking corpse. Ain't melting, ain't crumbling, heck, not even a whimper. I ain't never seen anybody like her, human or wretch. What are you? I'm still searching for myself. You can definitely see how they had to write her incredibly cryptic in her interactions with any of the other main characters. Either because they just didn't know what they were going to do with the character at that point, or if they were just trying really, really hard to hide her as a character, hide her personality as a character. But it's really not to much avail, though. You know nothing. They were innocent folks, though we were speaking of terrible things that made me shiver. He had a child. She made mistakes. Then you came in and shot them. I'm about to lose my damn mind listening to you. I only wanted conversation. Do you people speak with nothing but your guns? Just shut your mouth. And they do pretty much only speak with their guns. Got her straight between the eyes. Gonna be awfully hard to get up with your brains on fire. What kind of unholy fire does it take to burn you, devil? Perhaps I survived because I was chosen. That is what Eastar said. Chosen by God named Eostar? Ah, never heard that one before. Look at that sorry state you're in. Even if greater forces existed, which they don't, and if they meddled, which they ain't, this sure ain't a blessing. This is divine retribution. Retribution. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Now what brought it on these waterworks? You know Pa, Ma, and I all adore you, right? Makes us happy just being around you. I kind of wonder if maybe these are just people that are from like 100 years in the past. And that's why nobody recognizes her. Because there seems like there should be somebody that recognizes her somewhere. Shh, don't cry. I'm here, okay? I've got you. It almost, maybe the sister is like a split personality. Yeah, I don't think that makes sense either. We didn't see that flashback sequence before. I want you to live. Cough, cough, please. I hear you. Retribution. Why does it ring so familiar? So, if it is that this is the fortune teller's sister, then the fortune teller is literally giving a bullet to her to shoot her. Which that would be weird, unless it's a magic bullet that returns her memories. Retribution. Such a heavy world. Must I make retribution? And I guess retribution in Japanese is batsu, or batsuo. Because we definitely heard them say that several times. Eat this. It is only proper that retribution follow vice. Nothing's working. But if I must make retribution, did I transgress in some way? Questions, questions. Can't you make a half-witted opinion on your own? Now the bullets. I best beat a retreat or I'll be pushing up daisies real soon. If you're a guardian angel, illuminate my path. Show me who I really am. Back off, Spooky. I can't show you diddly squat. When I hit her in the head, she froze for 2 blinks. Alright. It's do or die, Selena. Look, I can't light your way for you. You want to find your place in this world, find somebody who understands your sin. Sin? Well, this little kite fight has been real charming, but it's over now, because I ain't passing to the other side without my man. Lights out, beast. Someone who understands my sins. Pant, pant. When I fired, I could have sworn. No, calm yourself, Selena. Focus on getting back to the church. That the abbess will want to hear about what happened. Who could it be? Who knows sins like mine? So the bullet just pops out, I guess, of her and onto the ground. What is this? Bullet. So the bullet doesn't even apparently either penetrate her at all, or it just pops back out. And so the mystery of the bullet continues. It is indeed. And it almost feels like she was using the bullet as some way of getting to this point. And I guess that means either she takes the bullet and gives it back to somebody, or she makes another bullet and gives it to Selena. Well, ain't that a lackluster greeting for a mystical bell? Though I suppose it makes sense on account of half of you being on the other side of the veil. Who are you? The name's Floresy Sweet Pie, which Sweet Pea, which maybe she is the older sister. Although if she's the younger sister and she's the older sister, then you have that height problem, and you kind of have that height problem either way. It does seem to be a consistent problem as far as how they animate people, is that they just don't have a height chart anywhere where they say, hey, let's keep most of these people within less than a head height difference, so people are actually looking in the same general direction instead of having a character that has an eye line that's just at chest level of a lot of people. And I might have some answers to your questions. Yeah. Real long tease here. I don't know how long we've been going, because whenever I pause, my timer gets messed up at that point because it doesn't stop when I pause recording. But I wouldn't be surprised if we are at an hour and 50 minutes already. You have answers, you know who I am. You don't need to look so surprised, Sweet Pea. Honestly, it'd be odd for me not to know you. The world is but a stage, and whose plays I've watched many, many times. Now, your tale is about a dear little girl with a special little heart. Tragedy strikes, and she's left wandering the world half dead and half alive. And that's what makes you different from all other wretches. See? I do not understand. You'll catch up eventually. They're basically just talking to the screen. My memories are gone. Have we met before? Well, that depends. Would you say you've ever met the sky? I guess you wouldn't. Not in the conventional sense. It's rather hard to get in touch with. So apparently, like, this is some god of the world that seems to be now directly interfering, but doesn't seem to have done much in the past. But that doesn't mean the sky ain't there. Why? The sky is everywhere, as am I. What would be really weird is if Flores literally was a god even above the keepers, and she just becomes this new character that helps either the main characters or just plays with the main characters for the rest of the story going forward. I don't know if you really need that. And frankly, the keepers getting power creeped and replaced with someone else doesn't make the biggest amount of sense, because we haven't even successfully defeated the keepers yet. Your meaning eludes me. Am I too slow? You are the meekest little lamb I've ever met. Entirely different from Selena. I'm talking to her right now too, and your personalities are like sheep and wolf. Am I ever going to get through to her? I sure don't know. Who? I'm sorry, I'm just chattering on about things that mean nothing to you, ain't I? You want to hear stories about yourself, your human self. Yes, please. Some things that have come back to me. The pull of vengeance, visions of my dead sister, and the name of her killer, Ishildrig. But did she actually remember that the killer was Ishildrig? Fascinating. Tell me, have you ever seen Ishildrig? We just met. Was Ishildrig not the woman who shot me? You couldn't be further from your mark, Sweet Pea. Then no, I suppose I have not. Yes, that's what I thought. Listen, I'll let you on a secret. Ishildrig carries neither blades nor guns on his person. Now, you remember your death, don't you? That you had your throat slit and breath stolen right out of you? I did. Ishildrig is a titan. He's powerful, and he's a brute. If he wanted you and your sister gone, he wouldn't just give you a little kiss on the throat. He'd swallow you whole, Sweet Pea. And nothing, not a bone, not even a speck of dust would be left. But you're not too far off from your vengeance. I'd say you're actually rather hot. The one you're really looking for is hiding right through there in your shadow. I do love playing fortune teller. I turn your pretty head with riddles and you choose what to believe. May I ask a question? So, it is either Eastar. It pretty much has to be Eastar that killed her sister and her. You may, and I will answer it if I can. when we wretches tie up all loose ends, what happens? Nothing at all. When you go to sleep, does the world stop spinning? When you wake up, does the world start turning? Then why am I here? There's only one person in this whole universe who decides that, Sweepy, and that's you. Now I have to let my mouth run now I've let my mouth run for far too long. Let's call it a day, shall we? Yes, thank you. Think nothing of it. But listen, the truth's out there, and it's waiting to be unearthed. More often than not, though, things are buried for a reason. So interestingly, she doesn't ask for the bullet or take the bullet. Vengeance does not lie with Aishondrig. Then who? Please, stay away. Watch out. Who took her? Do not know. I do not understand. I guess she just passes out. Well, maybe she didn't. Well, if it ain't E-Star's new partner in crime. He just left, went to go pick you up. Understood. Wait, let's talk. We heard you were after Ishildrig. How a meek little mouse is gonna hunt down a strong, hungry snake, I sure as hell don't know. Why have you grabbed hold of my arm? That dog is good enough for you, but I ain't? Well, we don't call him the lady killer for nothing. That hound's got his fangs sunk deep into her. Your meaning eludes me. I'm saying you should stop consorting with E-Star, stay here with us. You ain't got enough brains to fill a shot glass between the two of you. Listen, Icy's already sent out his people. They're promising to rain gold on the teller who catches you two. Well, let me tell you, this entire slum is parched for money, us included. If you stay here, we won't sell you out. E-Star is the only one that's got to go. He's using you, you know. Once he's cleaned you out, he'll leave you like scraps for the vultures. Does he mean to take my life? Finally starting to catch on. I've done some dirty things before, but I still wouldn't touch that filthy mutt with a 10-foot pole. Seems you think real high of him. Don't you know how he got the name Lady Killer? One, on account of him being an ass-talking con man, real good at kissing women out of their life savings. Two, on account of him killing a woman. Now, E-Star's got pudding for guts, and he ain't never shot a man. But a few years back, he ripped open the throat of a girl who'd supported him for years. But E-Star is kind to me. Well, he needs to treat his tools gentle. If you don't believe us, talk to E-Star. Ask him about the time he bit the hand that fed him. If he starts getting shifty, just say the name of the girl he killed. So here's going to be the big reveal that the name of the girl he killed is the name he gave her. But I don't know why he would try and manipulate someone that... she must look completely different. And I guess that almost certainly is the case because she looks like a full-grown adult. And the implication was that he killed younger sisters than that. Although maybe not. You son of a gun, just hearing it will make him shake in his boots. You say, Illegano. She was cut real bad. We had a hot summer that year. The slum smelled like baked blood for days. Gah. Istar killed me. Are you some kind of witch? Stop it, you demon. Istar took it from me. But you're not too far off from your vengeance. I'd say you actually getting rather hot. The one you're really looking for is hiding right there in your shadow. He stole my life. Holy hell, we gotta get out of here. What is she? Well, she doesn't kill those two. Istar, are you my enemy? So, like, if this is gonna wrap up the story in the next 3 chapters, and she's gonna either kill Istar or find some way to forgive him, then, who is the reborn? Here stands Istar. Istar is reborn. It's like he set himself up to be murdered by calling her Illegano, even if he knew she was Illegano. But certainly it's almost as if he has this subconscious death wish. I don't know what he thought was going to happen. The looks on their dim faces was pure gold. She had Icy's goon give up the ghost in 2 seconds flat. I got proof too. Their uniforms look familiar, boys. It's funny that they're labeling him as a common citizen instead of a scoundrel. First the uniforms, then the crown. Gentlemen, you're looking at the next titan. All I see is a lily-livered lady killer. Well, rub your eyes, and pretty soon you'll find yourself gazing at a bona fide royalty. When Icy's dead, well, your death's gonna be good as forgiven. Don't say I never look out for my friends. Yeah, we'll hold you to that. Would you look at them birds and feed... When you look at them birds and feed them feel that sunshine, maybe this world ain't so ugly. You Istar? What he meant to say is, you're the full sparking rebellion against Mr. Icy. Now, whatever are you talking about? I'm just a con man of middling success, completely inconsequential. I'm talking. Ain't no time for your talk. Gah. Too many brave little mice in this city trying to upset the natural order of things. I don't got nothing to do with that. Really? I bet my last bullet you're part of the bunny and baron crowd. Few of your kind get away with a couple of crimes and the whole nest thinks they're invincible. But once we trap the big two, y'all go scurrying back to your holes soon enough. Listen, friends, I'm saying you got me all wrong. Wrong or not, I ain't gonna change what we are about to do to you. So, I guess they're intent on beating him up, otherwise they would have just shot him already. When we're finished with you, you're gonna wish you settled for a comfy stone cell and a nice hay bed. Pen. So at least we know how these private police work. If you think I'm gonna bite the dust at your filthy boots, you've got another thing coming. Then you're gonna have to run faster than that. So they do shoot him in the arm. My arm. Come on now. You don't want to kill me, please. Relax, Chief. You ain't gonna die from one nipped arm. Shucks, 2 nipped arms though. Jury's out. No, it ain't fair. My whole life I was taken advantage of, and your boss, he built us castles off the backs of people like me. We've watered his gardens with our blood, sweat and tears. He may strut like a king, but he steals like a thief. He snatched that crown of his. But I earned it. Crown won't do you much good if I shoot your skull clean off. Don't do it. He's exploiting you. You know that. But me, I'm on your side. Please, I'm begging you. Don't do it. Logano. It's not for you to kill. We've heard about you. You and your demonic powers. I'm on a search. The seer said that the enemy was hiding in my shadow. If you're hindering me, I cannot guarantee your safety. The only big twist here is that if the killer was hiding in her shadow and it wasn't him, then it's gotta be that she killed herself and slit her own throat. But then that doesn't really make a lot of sense. That he then would have also killed someone different. But yeah, it basically has to be him. And that was a chapter just so there was another fight. At least in this story, I will applaud that they've gotten away from the ridiculous, let's have 4 or 5 people, often the same character models on screen so we can shoot more people. Because that was kind of silly. And they did go with an idea here of shooting one person just multiple times if they want more gunfire. Guy. Is Icy my enemy? Well, if you weren't, he is now. You've got it coming to you, you filthy demon. I am lost. I think I see a path, but will it lead me home? Can you not show me? Never seen like magic like this before. What sort of creature is she? I do not know, but I can tell you, this is not magic. If this is not magic, how it isn't magic, I don't know. What level of hell did you crawl out of? You won't even bring down Icy. You won't ever bring down Icy. Here, you might want to be. You want to be a Titan in your sweet dreams. See, direct mistranslation there. It's like it goes in your ... and then she says sayonara as in goodbye, and they translate it to sweet dreams. It's frankly a little insulting to see a localization team think that they can tell a story or write a story in English better than just a little translation. Sometimes I get it. You do a little editorializing and you make a few changes here and there to make it more understandable because of culture. But when you are just straight up changing the meaning of the words, you're not translating at that point. You're rewriting. ... Well, I can hardly believe it. I plumb forgot. I've got a butterfly from heaven fluttering above my head. Thank you. With you around, there ain't nothing. Ilgano. Let me ask you, E-Star. Are you my enemy? You take a hit to the head or something? Or did you take my life? Answer me. Did you not urge me on a path of vengeance? No, this is all a misunderstanding. I am your friend, Ilgano. I care about you. Then look at me, E-Star. I can no longer contain myself. Why can't my life turn into something worth living? No, I can't die here, not without ever knowing the true sweetness of life. I'm gonna be a Titan, if it's the last thing I do. See, I guess maybe they introduced E-Star so that he will be the next puppet of Nerva. And he will potentially defeat the Titans once he has Nerva's power. Ain't no one gonna take from me again. So he just runs away. Two bleeding shot arms, I assume. And they part ways. I wouldn't be surprised if these two just don't turn him in or shoot him. Bent. Well. That E-Star? Never thought I'd say this, but I'm sure happy to see you. You're pretty, Mugs. Listen, I'm this close to being shoved off this mortal coil. That woman is out to kill me. I think she's confused. She must have been consorting with some shady folks, and one of them must have fed lies about me. I just need to wait it out. Let her calm down, then talk some reason into her. But that ain't of our problems. Icy's men know what I look like, and they're hot on my trail. I need you all to hide me. Not for long, just enough time to lick my wounds. Sigh. You can talk pretty good, E-Star, but what you need to do is shut up and think. What? We're the ones who ratted you out to Icy, you numbskull. Earned us a pretty penny, too. Guess we ought to thank you for that. But why? Why? Hell, why are you even here on this earth? You can't steal, you can't kill, and even though you got a pretty face, you can't cheat. I could find more uses for a sack of snail turds than I could for you. Don't be too hard on him. He's worth something now, E-Star. If only knew how much money he's offering for your corpse. So his friends just shoot him and potentially kill him. And what do you think you're doing? Princess, we're in the middle of something. I may have been killed by E-Star. I'm telling you that ain't. What'd you just say? E-Star may be my enemy. Hey, is she making any sense to you? Earlier you told me E-Star killed Illigano. That's me. I am Illigano. Piffed. E-Star, you sure did right in picking up this girl. She might be the dumbest one yet. Why do you laugh? Listen here, yeah. That dog killed a woman, and yeah, her name was Illigano. Her body was left rotting in that alley for days. I seen it, and know what? She doesn't look a thing like you. So then they change it to Illigano ? No. You poor dumb little thing. E-Star want a souvenir. Son of a dog that cut you? Then who am I? Sweetie, you ain't puzzled that out yet? Who could I be? You're nobody. And see, I wonder, after we play these chapters, if it is going to fill in the blanks. But this one is called Nobody's Here. And I guess that is pretty much her real title, better than anything else, is that she is just going to be nobody. And then she might as well be nobody, because a story about a nobody is still the same as a story about a character who's given a name and importance in the greater arcing tale that is here, that everybody either doesn't matter that much or everybody kind of does matter. Inherently, human beings do have this nasty way in which their brain works, in which they give more value to one life versus another. And the quantifying of the value of life is an incredibly arbitrary and ever fluctuating value. But that certainly is one of the things that allows people to tolerate disparity and people being treated differently. Moving on, we deserve to be happy. I thought that even as a young girl. Pa was gentle, he seldom spoke, but he would sit by me when I needed him, with my big hands on my head, with his big hands on my head, smelling of warmth and aftershave. Sometimes when we were alone, he'd lean down with a twinkle in his eyes. He says, "Don't tell Ma," and he'd slip a piece of candy into my pocket. We'd share a quiet laugh. Ma was kind. She's always smiled and sang. When she moved, it was like light followed her around the room. I was gloomy, very different from Ma, but she liked to lean over, brush the hair out of my face and say, "I'm proud of you, my daughter." And we'd share a tight hug. Then there was my sister. I thought she was the best sister in the whole world. When I was growing and the pangs of sadness shot through me, I would pad into her sunny room and for love and protection. I would pad into her sunny room for love, protection. Weird. You know what this really feels like is that the sister is actually the sun, the actual, like, Helios sun, and Ilgano is actually the moon and has just become a personification of that. Of course, then you don't really know who the mother and father would be of the sun and the moon. And we've been seeing this eclipse this whole time. So that might be a connection. But see, that's also far too crazy for 3 chapters to introduce that as an idea, even though we know there's a whole nother episode. Hey, tell me about your dreams. Oh, I don't got any yet. Well, I do. I'm determined to see our family happy forever. And that includes you, little Miss Mopey. She would say that, then laugh. She was the one who took after Ma. I took after Pa in some ways. I was reserved like him, but Pa was intelligent, while I had nothing. My sister's was warm, bright, and healthy. She radiated with energy, and I was just a plain little dandelion drinking in the light. I was born with a weak heart. I came down with frequent fevers, and it worried my family. I guess that throws out the idea that they are personifications of the sun and moon. Got to the point where I started to believe that things would be better if I'd never been born. I cried often. We're still doing the ... I'm sorry. Now what brought on these waterworks? You know Pa and Ma adore you, right? Makes us happy just being around you. Now, they may have some connection in this backstory to the doctor that was mentioned before, but yeah, that would be a very loose connection. Shh, don't cry. I'm here, okay? I've got you. My sister could always calm me down when I was having one of my fits. Being with her was like dozing into warm sunshine. I'm just trying to bail through this. And she shone over all of Rivale, which I guess does mean that they were in Rivale. My sister was born with mysterious abilities. Neither Pa or Ma had even an ounce of magic running through their veins, so I thought my sister's powers were A gift from the heavens. This is a different background. I don't think we see it very often. She could read minds. She illuminated the dreams of every man, woman, and child in Revel. She was always ready with an encouraging word or a helping hands, turning wish into reality. You are the answer to everyone's prayers. That's an exaggeration, if I ever heard one. Anyway, my gifts are your gifts. What? That makes no sense. Of course it does. We're sisters, ain't we? Weird to have the jargon creep back into the story. As she spoke, a shadow crept into her voice. I didn't learn this till later, but she was born with magic that should have been mine. The doctor said if that magic had been left to me, I would have come into the world a healthy baby with a normal, working heart. So they must be like twins. My sister had apparently known for a while, and the entire time the guilt had been eating away at her. I tried to tell you so many times, but I couldn't never find the courage. I'm sorry. When she finally confessed to me, I just smiled at her. I bet I looked more like her than I ever did. I bet I looked more like her than I ever did in my life. Hush, don't be sorry. Pa and Ma and I all adore you. That was the truth of it, and I was happy of how things were, so that they went full circle there, with both sisters saying they adore each other. There was a way my sister could transfer the magic back to me. She wanted to, but I wouldn't let her. I had heard it would ruin her health. And either way, we already had our roles. When I told her that, my sister wept. That got Ma started, and she cried for an entire day. Pa tried to keep a stiff upper lip, but his eyes weren't dry for very long either. I leaked a little, but for the most part, I was beaming, happy as a bluebird. We were family, and that was enough. Thank you. You know, we really are two peas in a pod. Yeah, together forever. If they're not twins, then that's really weird that one child would be able to absorb the magic of the other. But who knows how magic works. Time passed, we grew up, and finally I found my calling. This is gorgeous. Why, you're so handy you could embroider a whole tapestry for the Titans themselves. I'm really proud to have you for a sister. That's an exaggeration if I ever heard one. Well, I did have deft fingers. They're going full circle a lot of times. They were just them saying the same things to each other. While I did have deft fingers, I could knit, sew, embroider, and I enjoyed making clothes. And my dream, I told my family, was to own a dressmaker's shop. Well, said Ma, I'm good at waiting on customers. Well, Pa saw I can keep the books. And if you're looking for a model, said my sister, what better person than me? I cried. For the first time in my life, I shed tears of joy. It should have been smooth sailing till the end of our days. So why? Stabbing sound effects? Why did this happen? Am I a fool for asking? Justice is blind and the world is senseless. Maybe it is as simple as that. In Rydo, people die, violent deaths. To pass on quietly is a rare blessing. No, I thought we were blessed, but I was wrong. Please, stay away. Watch out. See, why are they still hiding it, though? Like, the big reveal of who the bad guy is kind of ridiculous. Like we couldn't possibly have guessed. Either it is Istar or it isn't. And if it is an E-star, there's been literally no hints as to who it is. It could be not, it could be Vincent. And Vincent kind of makes sense. But otherwise, it's just some random person that probably hasn't even been mentioned. We were out shopping when a crazed man with a knife charged us like a bull on fire. First he stabbed Pa, so he killed all of them at the same time. It's weird that they're in the alley because it seemed like they were probably a little bit richer and in the rich part of the town, so they clearly shouldn't have animated a rich part of a town alleyway, but you probably should have just had them stabbed in the streets. But then I guess you run into the problem of people not seeing the dead body in the poor part of town if they had been killed in the rich part of town. Then he cut Ma, then my sister, then me. It all happened so quickly. I didn't even think to scream. There was just the cold metal slipping through my flesh. I can feel it even now. Ugh. That man stood over me, the sun spilling around his shoulders, reddening his ears and shadowing his face. He laughed out. His laughter rushed out, frenzied, uncontrolled like water bursts from a dam. Then he turned and left, and all I remember was the torn up bodies of my family. This basically is just like a Batman murder, as it were. It's just like everybody gets shot by somebody in Crime Alley. We don't know who. We think maybe it's like Joe Chill or the Joker, who I think in most comic book histories are different people. But yeah, it does feel like it's just going to be a random person. Hey, look at me. Everything's going to be fine. And see, they're hiding your name more than anything at this point, because that's your name. I'm scared. Well, that's your sister's name. We laid face down in the dust. My cheeks were wet. Could have been tears. Could have been blood. It was hard to tell. Why? Did happen. Bad things do, but she told me that not all hope was lost. If my sister used her powers, one person could be saved. Pa's gone, Ma too, but for you and I. So one of them has to be picked. Funny how she thought there was even a choice, when the truth of the matter was only one of us was worthy of surviving this mess. I want you to live, cough cough, please. She needed to keep shining for Ravel. She had things I did not have. She could help people. I could not help. There's no two ways about it. She should have been the one to live. I hear you. She smiled. My beautiful baby sister. I love you. A light wafted from her body. It paused, pulsating gently in the hot air. And we get a custom art animation, which we haven't been really paying much attention to the custom action animations. There's been a few of them in the different episodes, but nothing really great. A lot of it really is just copy and paste it from previous storylines. Then it disappeared into me. Let's try and wrap this up. No. She was always ready with an encouraging word or helping hand, turning wish into reality. And she had unearthed the treacherous seed in me that was hoping to live. No, stop. I don't want this. You heard wrong. This is a mistake. Please, I never wished for life. but she knew that that was a lie. It almost makes it feel like she could only grant wishes for others and not just use magic in any way she chose. So she had to get her sister the wish to be alive to save her, but she couldn't do the same for herself, even though her sister literally just did wish for her to survive. You've done more than enough. Take your heart back. Finally, I remember. I bit my lips until they foamed with blood, and clenched my fist until they dripped red. And lost alone in that sea, I had a revelation. I know my sister's murderer. It was me. I killed her. My life was the knife in her back. And yeah, you can definitely hear the Japanese voice actors putting all their effort into it to make an emotional experience. And honestly, you just don't get that in the English translations of previous episodes. I never really felt like any of the voice acting was as good as it should be. Something that would actually make me feel emotionally invested. So her wish saved her and potentially killed her sister, and so she's blaming herself. Which, what is then your goal as a wretch at that point? I guess you really aren't a wretch, and I guess you really don't have anything that's holding you to being alive still, so there is no vengeance to be had or any other goal to have. Inherently, that means there is basically no motivation for our main character. So this whole episode, this whole like chapter, and doesn't matter, frankly. Her whole story doesn't matter. It's like, at best, she's going to have to go through a hero's journey of learning to forgive herself and maybe forgive other people and grow as a person. That's the best you're going to get. I found it, the root of evil. What's happening? Back to this point, monster. It was me. The enemy I sought was me. And that is what I said, is that with the hint of the person who killed your sister is in your shadow, it's either her herself that was the killer, and they really are stretching the definition there, or it's him. And the actual murderer, the crazed man with the knife, never going to be explained. That we have no idea, and we never will. The enemy I sought was me. And so here stands ... and we still don't know what her name is, and we probably won't. And then she's gonna be reborn, I guess. Or she's gonna split in half and fight herself. The answers were there, but I shut my eyes, covered my ears, and bit my tongue. I maimed myself so I couldn't walk. She's talking crazy. They've changed her name back down to question marks. We gotta get out of here. Wait a second. What about E-Star? We need his head if we want the cash. You had a dung for brains? How are you gonna collect that money when you're dead? That way, other folks would have to lead me. Gah. I could follow their words like a puppy on a leash, and I'd never have to make another choice again. Gah. You little... All I wanted was to live my life, add joy and purpose. Then this world ripped everything from me. Get back or well, am I wrong? This unconcern for human life stole my family. and my self-serving heart stole my sister. They are at least somewhat sticking with the theme of just like, yeah, hell is other people, and this is definitely a world where people are so wrapped up in their own problems that they can't spare a thought for other people's problems, and then they make everybody else miserable trying to pull cons and trying to struggle to survive. So this is sadness, but where lies its source? In my foolishness, in the deaths of my family, in this body patched from nightmares? Or is it from all of the above? What's gonna be weird is, what is she gonna do with the bullet? And it'll kind of suck if Arissa shows up and she somehow sweet talks her into being a good guy, but I imagine that does have a chance of happening. Winwood and detestable, this whole world. I guess maybe she becomes the new Nerva. I'm done with this poop. Ugh, my leg. I can't run no more. Well, if shooting-outs you want, it's what you'll get. Wasn't supposed to end like this. Yes, it seems we are in agreement there. It was not supposed to end like this. I was supposed to have my own shop. Ma's smile would have lit the place up. Customers would have loved her. They would have returned just to chat. Pa would have kept us secure. I'm not so good with numbers. He would have taught me. Us sisters would have been nestled away in the back of the shop. I would have made many dresses for my sister. I wanted to see her in a silk twill dress, a floral calico, a satin evening gown, but I never will. We were a happy family, for good, simple people. We did not deserve to die. It was not supposed to end like this. This is going on too long, so why did it? Tell me. Yeah, arg. Bent. Please, you've got to stop. You're right. It was our fault. Please, forgive us. Detestable, you and I. We're like ticks hanging off the back of this world. Once we disappear, Rydo will be that much cleaner. No, don't kill me, please. It wasn't us. We didn't kill your family. We will meet again. Interesting that he swings in to save his friends who had betrayed him multiple times, but at least that gives him kind of a more noble death than anybody else. But also, I imagine if he doesn't do something soon here, he's gonna end up next on her list of people she just kills. In fact, she's in a certain state where I wouldn't be surprised if she just killed everybody in Rival, which frankly would be a fine way to end this story. Urgh, hurts like hell. Why? Good question. What I am doing shielding these backstabbing brutes? Not that it matters. It's over for me. Now's our chance. Go. Eastar. I came all this way, but my fancy Titan castle is still a distant dream. Well, I guess it ain't for a mutt like to live like a purebred. Time for this old dog to get put down, ain't it? Why did you call me Ilogano? What? Oh. I wonder. Who is Ilgano, really? My baby sister. She was a little gold nugget. born into all this muck. Hey, I ever tell you how I got into the con business? It was to keep her alive. I lied and I stole, and well, all this other stuff that ain't fit for your ears, all for Ilgano. Of course, I kept that filthy side of me hid away for years, until a woman squealed. Ilgano was upset, to put it lightly. She said she didn't want to live on dirty money no more, and I don't know. In my fear and shame, I told her she could go on and die. Knew those words were poison, for before they even left my lips. When she found out what I was up to, that I might hang for my crimes, it was too much for her to bear. So she slit her throat in protest right in front of me. She didn't look nothing like you, but... Now, why are you pulling that face? I can't tell what's softer, your brains or your heart. You know I was cheating you. You knew it from the start, didn't you? I ain't the con man I once was. I don't know what kind of cave she crawled out of, but I can recognize a gym when I've seen one, and this one's got luster. Did you hear something? Assuming she can really speak Wretch, is it a good idea to let her chew the fat with them? Both one of them rats me out, but then again, I shouldn't rub her the wrong way. Should I stay? Yes, I heard you. So he literally was talking under his breath the whole time. That's really dumb. It does kind of paint him as having this subconscious suicidal desire. Well, I figured as much. Don't you go raining from those baby blues on my bath. I'm just a dog that was slobbering after power. It's getting dark. I can't see a thing. And what would be funny is if he turned into a wretch, but I don't even know a reason for him to turn into a wretch, and frankly I don't know a reason why there were wretches in the story in the first place, other than to maybe explain how she's still alive, but even that doesn't really help anything. It could have just been a mystery as to why she was still alive. Yeah. You don't have to establish the idea that wretches exist and other people are half dead or mostly dead. So what are you going to do from here on out? Do not know. Die, I suppose. See, she is die, and ni is one way of saying I think. So she ni mouse is probably die, I suppose, or closest you could get in Japanese. But butterfly, I'm already doing that. No fun in treading the same path, is there? How about you oblige me with one last request instead? Clean up Rivelle before wandering through all of this to be or not to be crap. Listen, we can drop dead whenever, but we ain't nothing but a couple of flies on the dung heap. You need to go straight to the source. Crush Isendrig. Why Isendrig? I do not want to blame everything on him, but if Isendrig weren't around, it's kind of funny. It's like two people that are going after Isendrig when it would make a lot more sense if he had been going after Not and Bunny and Baron had been going after Isendrig. Well, I wouldn't have been struggling to put food on the table. None of the folks in the slums would have needed to kill and steal to survive. You called this world detestable, then change it. You have powers rivaling the gods. Use them. With enough force, even the blackest coal turns to diamond. Please. I was always too low to reach my dreams, but you? You star eye. Well, I can't believe it. You were alive. Listen, I need to tell you. I didn't ever want you to die. So I guess at this point he might be hallucinating his sister. That was my biggest lie, Ilgano. You are my one and only. Goodbye, we will meet again. Long pause there in the dialogue. My dear sister, I'm sorry. I promise I will take vengeance on myself, if not for your sake, then for my own. But first, I must avenge Ma and Pa, and every family that suffered on this land. Until then, I will not return to my old self. Here stands Ilgano, so she names herself Ilgano. She and I will bear witness to the destruction of this world. And that's a funny way of describing what they plan to do. So, yeah, there definitely some problems, majorly in the fact that it's just not translated to English, so that stretches us out. But there's a problem here that they haven't really revealed Vincent as being a bad guy. If anything, Miser's story has put Vincent as looking like he is actually a good guy, and I just don't believe that's the case, because you wouldn't introduce 3 Titans unless you planned on 3 Titans being people you have to fight for one reason or another. You have the childhood friends between Miser and Selena being a partner, and then you have Ilgano basically being a nobody that just happens to have a bunch of magical power, and that, I guess, is true for each of these characters, is that they are, at their core, kind of nobodies with magical powers going against Titans, where we've not really seen enough of the Titans to want to defeat them. Like, we really have not, over the course of 4 characters, been told enough about Vincent other than at all, or enough about Ilgano. No, I mean, Icy he seems to be working on some ritual. We don't know about the ritual. He seems to be overtaxing people. We don't know how terrible he is. We really missed out on seeing any kind of scene where people were getting evicted or people were starving to death or anything like that. It seems like it's just kind of leading people to being very desperate and turning to lives of crime. Bunny and Baron, who should have been the main characters probably throughout the entire story, are basically forgotten at this point in my mind, which sucks because I like the visuals of Bunny and I don't mind Baron. And I kind of might like Miser and Selena, and I've sort of half forgotten their stories. The whole thing is too long, and certainly we could have a problem if they decide at some point to throw in some new characters, and then we find there are 4 more hero classes stories that happens for chapter 10 here, or episode 10. And certainly this really doesn't feel like Shadowverse unless you're just saying Shadowverse is a anthology series of different people's tales. Orisa has played no real role here. I guess there's no reason to stretch this out. In the next recording, we will do the conclusion part of this, and here in this image you can see we're not seeing Orisa, we're just seeing these 5 characters, and if they drew the art this way, that pretty much guarantees that they can't introduce any new characters. It would almost make sense to come back to this and say, instead of this being swordcraft, make this swordcraft and bloodcraft. Like, because we know bloodcraft isn't used. Instead of this being Havencraft alone, use this as Havencraft and I don't know, Necrocraft, or make this Portalcraft a Necrocraft, then you could at least have two categories of types of cards and to play. Instead of this guy being Runecraft, make him Runecraft and Forestcraft. Just because. Because, yeah, that would at least make the gameplay a little bit easier in these challenges. Anyways, not a ton to say. It's not like the stories are that complicated. It's all fairly predictable. It's all being rewritten to English terribly. The Japanese is the Japanese, and it sounds decent, but not amazingly great. And the story from the Japanese or the English understanding of it seems not to be that much. So, yeah, that's going to be it for this recording. We have one more episode, and then I'll be done probably for 6 months to a year as they continuously add more stories, mostly just to add a few more challenge games so that they can reward you. Frankly, if they just added more challenge levels and there was no real story around it, I don't think anybody would complain. Anyways, as always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. If you want a friend to follow me on any social media sites, there's a whole bunch of links down below. And if you want to support me further, there's a link to Patreon, or you can friend me on Steam and gift me a game off my wishlist. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.